Hello friends, today we will see Introduction to Endocrine System. The learning objectives are students will be able to explain the function of endocrine system, enlist the types of endocrine glands, explain the importance of hormones and explain the mechanism of hormone action. Now let us see the functions of endocrine system. Endocrine system helps in regulating chemical composition of interstitial fluid. It helps to regulate metabolism and energy balance. It helps to regulate contraction of smooth and cardiac muscle fibers. It helps in regulating glandular secretions. It regulates the activities of immune system, growth and development. Helps in regulating activities of reproductive system. And finally, it also helps in regulating circadian rhythm or the biological clock in our body. Now, before we move further, I would like to ask you all one question, and this includes the reflection spot in my presentation. What are endocrine glands? So I'll give you a few seconds. Please write down your answers. Okay, I'm sure you must have written down the characteristics of endocrine glands. Now let us see what are endocrine glands. Now endocrine glands are the ductless glands. That means they do not have any ducts through which they release their secretion, and hence their secretions are released directly into the bloodstream. Their circulating levels are low and they have specific target cells which possess receptors which are highly specific to that particular endocrine secretion. Now here, this is the term called as hormone. Now hormone or endocrine secretions are the same. So one hormone can control the synthesis or secretion of another hormone. Deficiency or an excess of endocrine secretion or hormone is harmful, and hence their secretions or their levels have to be in optimum levels. Fresh amount is produced when required. As we've seen in the previous slide, that their circulating levels or the amount that is circulated is low, and whenever required it is synthesized. And this is another very important feature of hormones, is that they would be synthesized or secreted as and when required by our body. And finally, secretion is influenced by time of the day. A particular hormone will be secreted in higher amounts in the morning, but the same hormone may not be secreted in high amounts at night or in the evening. So this is what is the characteristics of endocrine secretions or hormones, is that they are very much influenced by the time of the day. Let's move on to the types of endocrine glands. Now, these glands like the pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal and pineal glands are the exclusive endocrine glands. Now, what is the meaning of exclusive endocrine glands? Is that these are the glands which have secretions. That is, these secrete hormones which are having role in the endocrine system. And apart from this, we also have some other organs like hypothalamus, thymus, pancreas, ovaries, testes, kidneys, stomach, liver, small intestine, skin, heart, adipose tissue and placenta, which also have an endocrine function to play, but these are not exclusive endocrine glands or endocrine organs. The reason is these organs also have their primary roles in their respective systems. For example, hypothalamus. As we all know, hypothalamus possesses all the nuclei of the central nervous system. And we also know that hypothalamus possesses all the releasing hormones. So this is how hypothalamus has a role in endocrine system as well as the central nervous system. So is the thymus. Thymus plays a major role in inducing immunity, in multiplication of T cells. This is the site of multiplication of T cells. So also it also has hormones which play an important role in the endocrine system. Similarly, we have the pancreas, which secretes insulin, glucagon, which is the endocrine part of pancreas, and the exocrine part, which is secreting the pancreatic enzymes, has a role in digestive system. Similarly, we have the ovaries and the testes, which are the gonads. They have their roles in the reproductive system, and they also secrete estrogen, progesterone, testosterone as the hormones, and this is how they have their role in the endocrine system. So similarly, we have all these other organs which have their exclusive role, or they have their role in their respective systems, and they also have a role to play in the endocrine system. Quickly, let us see the location of all these organs. This is the pituitary gland. Just above that is the hypothalamus. Now here, pituitary gland is the exclusive endocrine gland, and hypothalamus is an endocrine as well as a organ which has a role in central nervous system. This is the exclusive thyroid gland which secretes the thyroid hormones. Next we have the thymus, which is kind of in the mediastinum, just above the heart. And next we have the heart, which has its role in the cardiovascular system, as well as it secretes the atrial natriuretic peptide hormone. Then next we have the stomach, which has a role in digestive system, and it also secretes hormone gastrin. Next we have the liver, the lungs, the skin. Move further. Okay, we have the adrenal glands, which are located at the tip or the on top of the kidneys, followed by the pancreas. These are the adrenals. The kidney, which secretes renin and erythropoietin as the hormones, and kidneys also have a role in the excretory system. Then we have the small intestine, which secretes CCK, that is cholecystokinin, which is the hormone. So this is how small intestine is also a part of endocrine system. And apart from that, we all know that small intestine is the primary site of absorption of nutrients. Then we have the testes and the ovaries, followed by the thyroid gland. We have one pair of thyroid gland. This pink color gland here on either sides is the thyroid gland, and embedded in the thyroid gland are the two pairs. These green color spots that you see are the parathyroid glands, which are embedded in the thyroid gland. So these are the various locations of all the endocrine glands. Now let us see what is a hormone. A hormone is a mediator molecule released in one part of the body but regulates the activity of cells in other part of the body. So that means it is secreted somewhere and its target cell could be somewhere else. Now there are also some hormones which also acts as neurotransmitters. One example or a classic example would be norepinephrine. Let us see the types of hormones here. There are circulating hormones which are freely circulating in the bloodstream, and we also have the local hormones which show paracrine or autocrine effect. Example is interleukin-2 by helper T cells and nitric oxide by the endothelial cells. Now let us see what are circulating hormones. Now this is the endocrine cell where the hormone is being secreted. This secretion is released directly into the bloodstream, and once it comes across its target cell, the target cell possesses the receptor to which this hormone binds, and there would be cascade of molecular reactions that take place inside the cell, and that's how the physiological function is being performed. Let us see the paracrine effect or the paracrine cell. Now, a paracrine cell has secretions, that is the hormones which are released, and these hormones act on the target cell which is very close to the cell which secretes the hormone. That means a paracrine effect is seen in those cells where the cells are located close to one another. They are nearby. Now, a very classic example is pancreas, which possesses alpha cells and beta cells. And we know that beta islet cells will secrete insulin, alpha islet cells will secrete glucagon. So let us assume this is an alpha cell here, and these are the receptors for glucagon. So glucagon is released from the paracrine cells here, that is the alpha cells here, is released and it immediately binds to its receptor. Now, alpha and beta cell is a part of the pancreas, right? The islet cells of the pancreas. So that's how these paracrine cells are the cells which are located close to one another. Hence, they are a part of the localized hormones. Next, let us see the autocrine glands. Now, autocrine cells. Autocrine cells are the cells which have secretions, that is, they secrete hormones, and they also possess the receptors for their own hormones. So the secretion is released and it is acting on the receptors which is present on the same autocrine cell. Next, let us move to the types of hormones. That is, we have the lipid soluble hormones which are bound to transport proteins which are secreted in the liver. The free state of these hormones is around 0.1 to 10%. They make the lipid soluble hormones temporarily water soluble and increase their solubility in blood. They retard the passage of small hormone molecules through the filtering in kidneys and reduce the hormone loss in the urine. Quickly, let's glance through. They also bind to the receptors inside the target cell and alter gene expression. Now, this is the mechanism how the water-soluble hormones, the lipid-soluble hormones act. They bind to the transport protein. The minute they come across their target cell, the free hormone is released. It crosses through the cell membrane barrier because the receptor is present inside the cell. Here, once it binds to its receptor, the activated receptor hormone complex alters gene expression. A new mRNA is being formed. This mRNA synthesizes specific proteins on the ribosomes and a new protein molecule is formed which helps in performing various activities in the cell. Let us move next to the water-soluble hormones. They circulate in the watery blood plasma in a free form, not attached to other molecules. They bind to receptors embedded in the plasma membrane of target cells and activate second messengers. Here the second messengers could be cyclic AMP, that is adenosine monophosphate. It could be calcium. It could be cyclic guanosine monophosphate. It could be IP3DHE, that is inositol triphosphate diacide glycerol, which in turn activates enzymes inside the cell. So this is the mechanism. Here we have the freely circulating water-soluble hormones. The minute they come across their target cell, this is the target cell. The minute they come across the target cell, the hormone binds to its receptor, which is present in the cell membrane. The minute it binds to the receptor, there is activation of G protein. This G protein activation in turn activates the second messenger. This second messenger CAMP in turn activates the protein kinases. These protein kinases in turn phosphorylates the proteins, that is activated protein kinases phosphorylate cellular proteins. These phosphorylated proteins in turn then cause reactions that produce physiological responses. So this is the introduction to endocrine system. We have seen the types of hormones, we have seen the types of endocrine glands, and so also we have seen the mechanism of water soluble as well as lipid soluble hormones. Thank you for watching.